everyone. My name is Safa Basadik, and I am the Supervising Prevention Consultant for the NJ4S Union Hub. Today, we'll be having our special guest, Karen Yanni, present to us a presentation on fostering healthy relationships. She is a prevention consultant here at the Union Hub. I just want to tell you guys a little bit about Karen. So Karen is currently working as a prevention consultant with us at the Union Hub, like I mentioned. She recently graduated with her master's in education. She's passionate about educating the youth about everything mental health related. She also received her bachelor's in psychology, which aids her in researching when creating these presentations regarding mental health. During her free time, she enjoys reading, watching TV, and hanging out with her friends. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Karen.
Okay, so today I'm going to be talking to you guys about fostering healthy relationships. This is going to be a little interactive, so feel free to unmute or write in the chat box, whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm going to be asking some questions, and I would love for you guys to give your input, so feel free. All right, so this is the agenda for today. We're going to go over what does a healthy relationship look like? What are the benefits of a healthy relationship? What are the signs of an unhealthy relationship? How can I make my relationship healthier? So when I say relationship, I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. I'm also talking about friendships, your relationship with your family, cousins, any type of relationship you might have in your life. So what does a healthy relationship look like? What do you guys think? What are some things that you see that you're like, okay, this is a sign of a healthy relationship? Feel free to write in the chat.
Support.
Support, definitely, yes.
Good communication.
Good communication, yes, absolutely. And we have something in the chat.
Honesty.
Communication. Honesty, yes, absolutely. Those are all very good. And I see someone said listening. Yes, these are all very good signs of a healthy relationship. Okay, so the first thing I would like to point out that a healthy relationship would have to be healthy is you trust each other. Trust is the foundation of every healthy relationship. This is the foundation that you build a relationship on. You're able to communicate well with each other, like you guys mentioned. There's an open line of communication, and you can address issues without fearing that the other person might get really, really upset and like get angry with you. You support each other's goals. There's support in the relationship. They're not bringing you down, but rather encouraging you to go after your dreams or your passions or anything you might want to achieve. You feel supported and cared for. When you share things about your life, you feel like you have a healthy support system. They're not constantly criticizing. Some criticism is okay, and like healthy criticism is okay, but too much of it becomes like unhealthy and like just not good. Okay. So what are the benefits of a healthy relationship? So there are so many benefits, and feel free to add more to my list of anything you guys might know. So what I know about the benefits of a healthy relationship is that it lowers the rates of depression and anxiety. It brings your self-esteem higher. It also has the ability to strengthen your immune system, and it may help you recover from disease. I know that like there's a lot of research that shows that cancer patients that have a good support system are able to overcome the disease better than those that do not have any support. So healthy relationship is not just an emotional or like mental thing, like mental benefits, but it also affects your body and the health of your actual body. So this is a study that shows that proves that same fact, that it affects like your physical body. So it was published in the Journal of the American Heart Association. It found that women that have high levels of social strain were more likely to have a heart attack or die of cardiovascular disease. Researchers asked, so what they did was they asked women who in their life were too demanding or irritated them. And based on their answers, they were categorized as low, medium, or high social strain. And then those who scored in the high category, so they had a lot of people demanding them of things or irritating them, were 9% more likely to develop cardiovascular disease than women who scored in the low category. So this just shows that like having good relationships around you and a good support system really does impact your body and like your physical health. Also, like we know your mental health definitely is impacted, but it's like crazy to think that healthy relationships like can really impact your physical health. So it's definitely something very important to keep in mind. So what are some signs of an unhealthy relationship? So I wanted to open the floor for you guys to share. What are some signs or like red flags that you've seen of unhealthy relationships?
Too
Overly,
controlling.
that's what I was gonna say, overly controlling.
Overly controlling, definitely. Thank you guys. Thank you for sharing. Likes an over
Codependency.
controller. No privacy, you said?
Oh no, I said codependency.
Oh, codependency. Yes, absolutely. We all depend on our partners, but when it becomes like unhealthy, it's too much. And I see in the chat also says not respecting boundaries or too much jealousy. Absolutely. Like those two
Jealous.
are. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was supposed to say jealousy.
Jealousy, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've seen or being territorial. I saw that also in the chat. Thank you, Safa. So yes, absolutely. These are all signs of an unhealthy relationship. Okay. So the first and foremost thing, I want you guys to trust your gut feeling. When you feel like a relationship is not healthy, you get like kind of like a pit in your stomach or you get something that makes you uncomfortable. Trust that feeling. That is always very telling. And also if your partner is not respecting your boundaries, like let's say you enjoy spending some time with your friends or your family and you just want some time alone, which you're totally entitled to, and your partner is constantly saying no, you can't have that alone time, or you've created some boundaries for the relationship and they constantly try to cross them, that's definitely a sign of an unhealthy relationship and you should not tolerate that at all. If the relationship seems to be codependent, so like I mentioned before, we all depend on our partner, and that's definitely like the whole point of having a relationship. You have someone to depend on. But if you become or they become too dependent on you where they can't function without you, this is a sign of an unhealthy relationship. Or if you notice that you're doing that, that's something definitely that you should check out and like see like where is that coming from, what's happening, why am I doing that. If there's a lack of trust between you and your partner, there's just like constant questioning, like we said, jealousy. It's just like an uncomfortable situation to be in, and that's not very telling of a healthy relationship. Like we said before, trust is the foundation of any relationship. And then also, if you feel like the relationship is unbalanced, like you constantly give, and you don't feel like your partner is giving the same energy or the same amount, and so just like a relationship is give and take. It's a give and take constantly, and it should be balanced. So I'm gonna go through a couple things of how to make my relationship healthier. So first and foremost, get to know yourself. I like to say like we sometimes date ourselves in the beginning, So we get to know how to regulate our emotions. We take time to learn about ourselves and how we feel about certain things. How do we express certain emotions and why do we express them in a certain way? Meditation can help a lot with this to regulate your emotions. Journaling is also a very good technique. Writing your emotions down or taking time to really analyze what you're feeling and what you're going through really helps you in the future when you're building a relationship, whether a friendship or a romantic relationship. Put in the work. So we all know any type of relationship takes time and it's a lot of hard work, and we need to recognize that we don't live in a movie. So let's not put unrealistic expectations on our relationships, but rather recognize the reality of it and acknowledge that this is going to take hard work, but this person is worth it and I want to put in hard work. So like I'm ready. And also a very, very big aspect of relationships is practicing forgiving your partner or friend. So forgiveness is like a very useful like tool when trying to work out a relationship, because we recognize that the person in front of us is not perfect and neither am I. So the same forgiveness I'm showing to the person, I want the same forgiveness back. Sorry, I see a message in the chat. Yes, practicing forgiving yourself as well. Absolutely, I totally agree with that. Just it's so hard to forgive yourself sometimes, and I've definitely been through periods where it's like, I can't believe I did that. I don't know why I would do something like that. But like forgiving yourself and recognizing we're only human and anyone is capable of like doing anything. All right. So be an empathetic listener. So we said that we saw in the video earlier that they were listening, but were they being empathetic? I would disagree. I don't think they're being empathetic. They're not really listening. They're more hearing. They're just hearing the words. They're focused on something else. But to create a healthy relationship, you really need to take time to listen and take time to really understand where they're coming from. Don't be quick to attack or judge. I know sometimes when we're fighting or we're in an argument, we want to prove ourselves right and we're ready to like fight, but like we should practice being empathetic and being more understanding and having patience. Patience goes a long way. I know it's not always easy, but I'm sure the person in front of you will appreciate your patience and reward you with the same patience when something like the other way happens around. This is also very important when arguing, to stay calm. I know it's not an easy thing to do. It's much easier said than done, but definitely it's something worth practicing. It's a good idea for when things get really heated to kind of table the conversation. I know my team, we like to say, put it in the parking lot. So put it in the parking lot and come visit it later. Some issues are not like, they don't need to be solved right then and there. Some things can be left to the side a little bit, park it, and come back to it later. There's no harm in coming back to an issue later when you're both less calm and more calm, when you're less angry but more calm. And a very important reminder is that you and your partner or friend are not against each other. Rather, you're both on the same team against an issue. So you're not fighting against each other. You're not trying to bring each other down, but rather you're trying to figure things out. You see there's an issue in front of you and you're trying to figure this out. And it takes time and effort and energy, and just be graceful with the process. Another important point is to interact in person. I know a lot of our relationships now are very virtual and very online, but a lot of things can be lost in translation. It's better to interact in person instead of over the phone, because body language is also a big part of like communication, and seeing someone's body language can tell you a lot about how they're feeling or what they're thinking. And so texting is really, or like anything virtual, is not the best way to interact with someone, especially if you're having an argument or going through a tough time. So another very important skill to work on is improving your communication skills. I'm sure we all know how to talk, and we all know how to get into arguments and fight for ourselves, but there are definitely healthier ways to approach a problem than others. So using I statements, for example, I feel like what you did upset me. I feel like blank. I don't like it when you make fun of me in this way. I really need my space, or I really need some time alone. So just communicating in a nicer way can go a really long way. This is much nicer than saying you are mean, you are not a nice person, or you did this, you did that, you did this. I know sometimes we like to like list all the things that the person in front of us did wrong, but that's definitely not a healthy way to be in an argument or get your point across. Sometimes once a person starts to feel attacked, they zone out. They're not listening anymore. So it's also very important to communicate your needs and your wants to the other person. No one can read your mind, so it's really, really important to be clear with what you want out of this friendship or relationship, and be clear of your expectations. I expect you to always be there for me. I expect you to answer your phone in a timely manner. I expect you to call me every night. Whatever your expectations may be, communicate them, because that just builds a healthier relationship, and it just less confusion. Yes. All right, another thing we talked about earlier is respecting and setting boundaries. Like, for example, you're expressing that you need your partner or friend to respect your alone time. Like, hey, I need some time to myself, and I really would appreciate it if you respect that time that I have set out for myself. Same goes with you. Like, if they need some time alone, or if they don't like a certain joke, for example, respect that boundary. Respect that not every person is the same way as you are, and not every person is gonna take jokes the way you do. So it's very important to respect the person in front of you's boundary. And part of expressing your boundaries is also expressing what you appreciate. So we don't want to just focus on you can't do this, but also I appreciate that you give me my alone time. I appreciate that you stopped making that joke that upsets me. I appreciate that you spend time with me when I'm upset. So showing appreciation also goes a really long way. So this is just a short recap of how can I make my relationship healthier. So you get to know yourself. We said to get to know yourself, put in the work. Relationships are hard work. Be an empathetic listener. Stay calm. Interact in person. Improving communication skills. Respect and set boundaries. So it's just a small recap. And if you guys have any other suggestions, feel free to unmute and share. I would love to hear what you guys have to say, or write in the chat and I'll read it out loud, whatever you guys feel comfortable with. I'll just give you guys a minute to think, because I know we all have experience, so we can learn from each other.
I think this sounds, what's the word, like obvious, I guess. But as I've been like helping my younger cousins go through their breakups and things like that, a big thing that they have, can you hear me? Sorry, I just got a
Yes, yes.
notification. Okay. A big thing that I have been saying that they've been like, oh, is just treating someone the way you want to be treated. I know it sounds very obvious, but you know, like for example, I talk delicately to my partner because I want to be talked delicately too. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't like to be yelled at. I don't like raising voices. I don't like name calling, so I do not do that to them, even though sometimes maybe I want to, you know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
So yeah, I think that's like a big one.
No, absolutely. And that's something that we learn when we're younger, treat others the way you want to be treated, but oftentimes we forget as adults. But it's definitely something so important. Thank you for sharing, Julia. And then we have something in the chat. Safa saying, I think it's really important to instill these types of supportive strategies in youth because media plays a huge role in how they navigate their relationships, and the concepts of relationship are so different now. Social media is a new dimension when having relationships with teens. Absolutely. Like relationships, I mean, social media have really altered what relationships look like and how we view them and how we handle them. So it's definitely important for us to communicate these presentations, and we have talks about what a healthy relationship looks like. For sure. Thank you for sharing, Safa. Gen C says, some people don't know themselves well enough to know what they want. Absolutely. Like, that's why it's so important to date yourself. Be like, know who you are, know what you want out of a relationship, know what you're expecting from your partner. Because, like I said, no one can read your mind. And it's not fair for the other person either, getting into something. Another comment says, as a part of communication and boundaries, do check-ins. Make sure that the ex behavior is something that the other person still likes. Absolutely. I like to really, at the end of the day, if I'm hanging out with a friend or I spent like a long time with a friend, I'd like to say like, oh, like, did you have fun today? Is there something that you would have enjoyed more or less? Did you have a good time? I like, my friends just know me by that. Like in the car ride, I'm like, oh, did you guys have fun today? Like that's like a sort of a check-in. So yeah.
I do something similar. If I'm hanging out with my friends or my boyfriend, I'll just say, what was your favorite part of today? Or like, what was your favorite part about dinner or the movie or whatever? Because then you get to know like, okay, this was my favorite part, that was your favorite part, so then we can just do it more, you know?
Yes, no, absolutely. That's such a good like way to do it. I'm definitely gonna steal that tactic. There's also be realistic with your expectations. So definitely being realistic. Oh, another one, having realistic expectations of each other. You can't ask the world and not be willing to give yourself to the other person. Absolutely. I totally agree with all of your suggestions. I'm so glad you guys got to share from your knowledge because we all learn from each other. Armando, did you have something to share?
Yeah, I had a question in forms of like, social media and the internet. How do you think we can apply all of this into like social media? So like you said, there are a lot of relationships that are either long distance or online or over the phone. How do you think we can kind of, foster a healthy relationship online, especially with the dangers of like the media?
I would say with long distance relationships, I think the most important thing is carving time out for your partner. Like we're all really busy and it's really hard to make time for someone. Like, I mean, it's easy to talk to someone throughout the whole day, but I think for long distance relationships, it's important to really like take time out and like, I'm just dedicating this hour to just spending time with you, whether it's FaceTime or it's texting them like without any distractions, whether it's talking on the phone, whatever like you feel comfortable with. I think that's really important, like carving time out for the person. And honestly, like I think being the change you want to see, it goes a long way. Just being like a positive person or like showing those like positive characteristics in a relationship, in your friendships, then the other person learns from you. Other people learn from you.